today is gluten-free guru Helen, and she's going to be making the most delicious gluten-free bread.
In the past, gluten-free bread was horrible. It was really hard and dense and it had to be salvaged by the toaster, but this bread is soft and fluffy and delicious. You wouldn't even know it's gluten-free. We're going to make a rosemary and olive bread today.
Oh, that sounds delicious. Now, Helen, there's quite a lot of variety of flours here. Talk me through them.
There are lots of different gluten-free flours on the market and people don't really know how to use them. So today we're going to talk through each flour and each flour's properties. So today we're going to start with tapioca flour for our bread. So we just simply sift in 1 cup of tapioca flour into our bowl. Tapioca is great because it gives great springiness to our bread and makes it really light and fluffy.
Okay.
And to that, we're going to add our sweet rice flour. Now, sweet rice flour is derived from short grain rice, so it's starchy and sticky, and that's what we want because we're trying to replicate the qualities of gluten. So our next flour is potato starch. Now, potato starch adds incredible fluffiness to our bread, so it doesn't have a strong potato taste. You just want that starch to get the fluffiness.
Got it.
Now, to that, we're going to add our final flour. This is sorghum. Sorghum is a superfood. It's really high in antioxidants, protein and fibre, and it gives our bread a real nutritious boost. We're going to just add 2 more things before we add our wet ingredients. The first is xanthan gum. Xanthan gum adds stretchiness to our batter. And we're also going to add 2 teaspoons of sea salt. Justine?
Salt.
I'll start stirring while you do that. Okay, so now we've mixed our dry ingredients. Let's get into our wet ingredients. Justine, can you whisk those 2 eggs for me, please?
Sure can.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to add in our yeast mixture. So in this jug, I've got 1 1/4 cups lukewarm water, and to that, I've added a teaspoon of sugar and 7 grams of yeast. You can just buy the yeast in the sachets in the supermarket.
Well, that's instant yeast.
Instant yeast, correct.
Okay.
So I'm just mixing that through, and I'm also going to add a little bit of apple cider vinegar. That'll help give our bread a lift.
Nice.
Justine, that looks great. You can add those eggs in now.
Fabulous.
And next I'll need 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil for the bread. My favourite type of olive oil.
Nice.
We're going to give that a good mix. And as you can see, our bread batter is coming together.
Beautiful.
Now, before we add our olives and our rosemary, we're just going to get that batter nice and smooth. Now we've mixed those wet ingredients together, we're just going to throw in our beautiful Kalamata olives. Now, not all of them, Justine, just 2/3, because we're going to save the final third to sprinkle on top of our bread, because we don't want all those olives sticking to the bottom of the tin.
Nice.
So just, I love juicy Kalamata olives. I grew up on these.
The way you say Kalamata, you can see that Helen is Greek.
Yes, absolutely. And then we're going to throw in our rosemary.
Sure.
About 2 tablespoons of chopped rosemary. It gives a beautiful fragrant note to our bread. Okay, so Justine, if you could just finally chop that rosemary with a knife.
Sure can.
We're going to throw 2 tablespoons into our bread batter, and we're going to reserve some rosemary to sprinkle on the top in the end for presentation as well.
Beautiful.
So in goes that rosemary.
Here we go.
Beautiful. Okay, Justine, our batter's ready. Could you pass the 20 by 10 centimetre bread tin? That's been greased with some olive oil, and all I'm going to do is simply pour that batter, and we're going to let that sit for about an hour. What you want is you want your bread to almost double in size.
Nice.
So I'm just going to spread that out. We're going to sprinkle our last bit of olives on top for beautiful presentation.
Nice.
And a few sprigs of rosemary, Justine.
Just pick like that. And
Just pick like
sort of
that, that's
poke it
fine.
in. And Helen, after this doubles in size, how long are we cooking this in the oven and at what temperature?
Okay, about 55 minutes to an hour at 200 degrees, and it'll be beautiful and golden.
Beautiful. Can't wait to try this very interesting bread. Helen, that bread looks fantastic. I'll tell you what, if I was in a bakery, I would just assume that is a wheat flour bread, but it's not.
And that's the beauty of this bread. It's gluten-free and still light and fluffy.
Nice one. And it's crunchy on the outside.
Yes, so the key to get a crispy crust is when you pull the bread out of the oven, you turn it out immediately. Do not let it sit in the hot tin or your crust will go soggy.
Okay, good tip. So, moment of truth, let's cut into it.
This is my favourite part, Justine. And I love the crispy bit on the end, so I always steal that before the kids get to it.
Ooh,
Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that light, fluffy, springy texture and those juicy, plump Kalamata olives.
Wow, can I have a taste of that?
You certainly can.
Do you know what? I have tried a few different gluten-free breads and I always find them really heavy, really cakey. This is quite light, crunchy, feels like it's focaccia.
Yeah, it does feel like focaccia, and it's so light and fluffy and juicy.
Well, that is incredible. You would never know that that is a gluten-free bread. And I love the rosemary and all those olives in it. Really good bread.
Yeah, it's a delicious bread. My friends and family have no idea it's gluten-free and they're always requesting it.
Delicious. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.